Detective Sarah Mitchell had one case she couldn't let go of: the murder of Emily Grant. Emily was a bright, young woman with her whole future ahead of her, brutally killed in her own home 20 years ago. Despite endless interviews, dead-end leads, and 2 decades of detective work, the case remained unsolved. Sarah was months away from retirement, but she couldn't walk away without closure. Emily's murder had shocked the town. She had no known enemies, and her life had seemed perfect until she was found lifeless. With no signs of forced entry, no stolen valuables, and no clear motive, Sarah remembered the frustration all too well. Every clue, every lead had evaporated like smoke. She'd spent years obsessing over the details. The scene was imprinted in her memory: Emily, lying on the floor, a look of terror frozen on her face. The only piece of evidence they had, a single, smudged fingerprint that didn't match anyone in the system. It was a case that haunted Sarah, and she wasn't alone. The media had dubbed it the silent witness, a case where someone must have seen something, but no one had ever come forward. The public eventually moved on, but Sarah couldn't. Then, out of the blue, something happened. Sarah received an anonymous letter. It was short and to the point. "I know what happened to Emily Grant." Enclosed was a photo, a grainy, black and white image of a young woman standing at a bus stop the night of the murder. The letter gave no name, no return address. Sarah's pulse quickened. This couldn't be real. After 20 years. Why now? But deep down, she knew it was a sign. Maybe, just maybe, someone was ready to talk. Sarah revisited the old crime scene, now an abandoned house. The air inside was thick with memories, dusty furniture, broken glass, and the echo of a young life cut short. She combed through the old case files once more, but this time, something clicked. The photograph showed someone waiting at a bus stop that was less than a block from Emily's house, at the exact time of her death. Sarah tracked down the bus company's archives and discovered the name of the bus driver, who had worked that route all those years ago. His name was Tom Harris, and he'd retired quietly about a decade back. No one had thought to interview him at the time. He was just a bus driver, an unimportant detail in the larger investigation. When Sarah met Tom at his home, he was frail, with watery blue eyes that seemed to carry the weight of the past. He had been that silent witness, but back then, fear had kept him quiet. Tom hesitated before speaking, as though the words themselves might bring danger. "I didn't come forward because I was scared of what I saw, scared of who was involved." He admitted that he had seen Emily the night she was killed, but that wasn't all. Tom had seen someone else too, someone leaving her house in a hurry, a man he recognized but couldn't describe clearly in the darkness. All he knew was that the man had been wearing a distinctive jacket, one with an emblem that Tom had seen before around town, but it was too late to recall where. Sarah pressed for more details, but Tom's memory had faded over the years. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice cracking. "I was just a coward." With this new information, Sarah began investigating old community groups and sports clubs, hoping to find a connection to the emblem Tom described. Time was running out, her retirement loomed, and she knew the clock was ticking on both the case and Tom's failing health. Days passed, and just when it seemed like another dead end, Sarah stumbled across a forgotten high school club photo. There it was, the emblem Tom had mentioned, on the jacket of a man who was now a respected town council member, Robert Kane. Robert Kane was a local celebrity, wealthy, connected, and powerful. He had the means to cover his tracks for decades, and Sarah knew that confronting him could be dangerous. But she had no choice. Emily's family had waited for justice for far too long. Armed with new evidence, including a partial match on the fingerprint from Emily's house and the old photograph, Sarah requested a private meeting with Kane. The confrontation was tense. Kane, ever the politician, tried to charm his way out of it, but Sarah had seen enough criminals to know when someone was lying. Just as Kane seemed ready to walk away, Sarah played her final card. She produced a key piece of evidence she'd held back, a matching shoe print, discovered outside Emily's home, that connected Kane to the scene. His confident FOD cracked, and in a moment of weakness, Kane revealed the truth. Emily had been having an affair with someone in power, and when she threatened to expose him, she became a liability. Kane hadn't killed her himself, but he had orchestrated it. He'd paid someone to take care of the problem, a man long dead, leaving no one to connect the dots, except now, Sarah had. With Kane's confession in hand, Sarah could finally close the case. It wasn't the ending she'd hoped for. Emily's killer would never face trial, but the man who orchestrated her death would. The town was shaken, and Emily's family, though devastated, could finally begin to heal. On her last day at the station, Sarah received one final note. It was from Tom Harris. "Thank you for listening, Detective. I'm sorry it took me so long." Sarah's story reminds us that the truth will eventually come to light, even when buried under years of lies, fear, and silence. Justice might be delayed, but it can never be fully erased.